Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, well, boy oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Like always, we're going to be discussing Monday Night Raw. Last night, we're going to talk about the results of Monday Night Raw. And man, was last night's Monday night a huge one. And I'm not going to specifically talk about the card for tonight's NXT, but I am going to talk about some things revolving NXT and what we might see in the near future regarding that of NXT. So let's get right into it. Starting with Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw started with the Judgment Day confronting the Bloodline and basically talking about how they're going to take the Raw Tag Team titles away from the Usos. Now, I said this in yesterday's episode. It is very likely that the Judgment Day could do this. The Judgment Day are a very talented group. And this is long-term storytelling at its finest. It was mentioned last night, and I'll say it in the episode as well. Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio were the guys that lost the SmackDown Tag Team titles to the Usos. Dominic Mysterio is one half of the team that the Usos beat to start this history-making championship reign. And so this is like a bit of vengeance for Dominic Mysterio if he can pull this off. Him and Damian Priest are going to be challenging the Usos next Monday, and that's going to be very interesting. Now, I'm not going to give predictions for next Monday until that episode comes out, but I am, I'm excited. I am going to say right now, I'm certainly excited for that. Now, going into a little bit more about Monday Night Raw and this whole segment that we saw between the Bloodline and the Judgment Day, it was honestly a very well done segment. Now, we saw Dominic Mysterio cut a slight bit of a promo saying, about his time in jail and this and that. And honestly, just like everyone else, I don't really want to hear about his time in jail. That's not really interesting to me. I don't think Dominic Mysterio does a very good job when it comes to his promo work. I think that's safe to say. His wrestling capabilities have gotten slightly better. And by slightly better, I more so mean that his selling has gotten better. Like, he can really take moves. Let's go with that. But, all in all, though, Dominic Mysterio and the rest of the Judgment Day pulled off what was a very good segment. The Usos certainly getting heated a little bit. And what's nice about it is I think the Judgment Day themselves have so much heat with the WWE audience, especially that of Dominic Mysterio, that the audience is in support of the Bloodline. And they're in support of the Usos and Solo Sikoa. And yeah, the WWE audience sometimes supports the Usos here and there, but like, let's be honest, usually like when they fight Street Profits or New Day or the Brawling Brutes, it's usually the Usos that get booed, right? Well, in last night's segment they got cheered, which is surprising. Now we saw a bit of a face-off between Rhea Ripley and Solo Sikoa. Now that's interesting. As I said in last night's episode, people get scared of Rhea Ripley. They don't want to hit a girl, that sort of thing, yada yada yada. Solo Sikoa was actually kind of the same way, which was surprising. He didn't hit Rhea Ripley. She was egging him on, and it looked like he was about to, and then Mustafa Ali got involved. Now, obviously, I did miss a little bit. I'll go back real quick. There was a bit of a brawl between Dominic Mysterio and Solo. It turned into an entire brawl between the entirety of the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio hitting a vicious forearm to Solo Sikoa, who was unfazed, and then proceeded to headbutt Dominic Mysterio, causing a massive outbreak between both groups. Now, going into Mustafa Ali now. So, Mustafa Ali did take down Solo Sikoa, and then going later on into the night, we saw Mustafa Ali versus Solo Sikoa in singles action. Now, obviously, the week previously, we saw Dolph Ziggler versus Solo Sikoa in singles action, and nothing. Solo Sikoa has been an unstoppable force of nature, and I think it's safe to say that that's not stopping anytime soon. Solo did get the victory over Mustafa Ali, but it was a well fought battle. Mustafa Ali did try to, there were times where Mustafa Ali he did perform some moves that I think people thought, oh my god, this is it. I mean, Kevin Owens even came in and got involved and took out Jay and Jimmy. And then after the match, after Solo had won, he proceeded to try and take down Solo Sikoa, and he was going to put Solo through the announce desk just like Solo did to him on Friday Night SmackDown. But instead, Usos getting involved, but Kevin Owens did fend them off. He did defend himself successfully, and I think it's safe to say that he has a lot of control right now going into this. And on Friday, as far as I know, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it on Friday's episode, but on Friday Night SmackDown, as far as I know, we're going to see Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens conduct a contract signing for this match at the Royal Rumble to become official. And so I can only wait and see how that goes. Now, all in all, last night was incredible. Now, even after, this is even after the whole ordeal with Kevin Owens and fending off the Usos, which was, shit, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. This was even after that. Let me see if I can find it. Oh my god. I'm just a wreck today, aren't I? I'm just a mess today. Let's see. Yes. So, last night also finds us seeing Cody Rhodes officially declaring the Royal Rumble. Now, as I had said, Cody Rhodes is set to be fully healed, 100% ready to go by that point in time. And, well, he's ready. He's declaring the Rumble. He's going to be at the Rumble. That's interesting. I'm excited for that. The Rumble is 1 week away from Saturday. It's near, it's right around the corner. It's nearing us sooner and sooner. After that, we have one more Monday Night Raw to go, 2 more SmackDowns to go. This is going to be interesting. Now, I'm not really going much into the idea of Cody Rhodes declaring himself for the Royal Rumble, because I've talked enough about Cody Rhodes and the Royal Rumble in this channel on these episodes, so I'm going to just keep going. We also saw Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin versus the Street Profits. Now, obviously, last week on Monday Night Raw, MVP and Bobby Lashley had a bit of a backstage altercation. Not really an altercation, but a conversation, if you will. And Bobby Lashley said, "Listen, I'm not ready. He doesn't want anything to do with this idea of the Hurt Business getting back together." And he said, I want to stay solo. And MVP seemed to have respected that. But it also seems that Shelton and Cedric want to work with MVP again. And MVP did get involved in that match. Cedric and Shelton were working, they were doing what I think was a very entertaining match. However, I do think that they don't have the most perfect in-ring chemistry. Their in-ring chemistry, I think, could use a little bit more work, a little bit more build-up over the next couple of weeks. But all in all, I think it was an entertaining match. Now, the Street Profits did get the victory, but MVP did even try intervening in the match. However, that did not benefit in the favor of Cedric and Shelton, because Angelo Dawkins still managed to roll up Cedric Alexander into a crucifix pin, into a backslide kind of pin maneuver, and still get the victory for him and Montez. Now, this was a much needed victory for the Street Profits, right? They've been getting screwed over the past couple of weeks. They've been having Montez Ford hasn't all been there in the head a couple weeks ago. And so I think it's safe to say that both these guys really needed this win, and I'm very glad they got it. Now, we also saw Becky Lynch and Bayley in some promo action in what was a very interesting promo segment. Becky Lynch, something that a lot of people say when regarding to Becky Lynch, Bayley making the mention that the only reason Becky Lynch is the man is because she got punched in the face by a woman. For those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, I believe it was 2018 when Nia Jax hit Becky Lynch in the face, and This was an accident. This was unscripted. She accidentally broke Becky Lynch's nose. The reason, that's what she's referring to, because after Becky came back, it started the whole idea of the man, Becky Lynch, and Becky was just getting this more and more and more of a build up and a rise and that sort of thing. Now, Becky said, where have I heard that before? And why don't I? Does that mean if I punch you in the face, you'll become a star? Like, why don't I punch you in the face and make you a star? And that was interesting to me. I enjoyed that. And Becky even mentioned Bayley's old NXT days. So you can tell the rivalry between these two right now is only building more and more. These two just want to, like, Becky wants to just go to war with Bayley, and I respect that. And it will be next week on Monday Night Raw, the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, actually. We will see Bayley go one-on-one with Becky Lynch once again. However, this time the stipulation is different. This is not a normal singles match. It will be inside of a steel cage. Now, that idea is interesting to me because, especially revolving what we saw with War Games, that's interesting to me. And obviously, this is to kind of keep Dakota and Io from getting involved. But how many times have we seen a steel cage match where wrestlers still get involved that aren't supposed to be in the match? And so I think it's safe to say that we will see Damage Control somehow get involved. However, that being said, Damage Control has other enemies. Most recent, Michin, and now Candice LeRae. So, on last night's episode, we also saw Candice LeRae in the corner of Michin as Michin took on Io Sky. Michin did get the victory over Io Sky, which I think huge congrats to Michin. I think she's been needing a bit of a pick-me-up. Past couple of weeks haven't been going great for her, especially after, she hasn't really been having much segments with the OC since AJ's been injured and hurt, so that's kind of put a damper on things. But Michin has still been on television every week, which is good. Candice LeRae has been on television now 2 weeks in a row, which is good for her. And on top of that, Candice LeRae managing to get involved, saving Michin from that of Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And I think it's safe to say that if Becky has to deal with Damage Control in this steel cage next week, I think it's safe to say that Candice LeRae and Michin will be there to back her up. Now, we also saw, and this, in my opinion, is my favorite match of the evening, and I will go into detail why. I mentioned this in last night's episode about how Chad Gable and Otis need more of a build-up. They need to start turning face. I think my prayers might have been answered. So, last night on Monday Night Raw, we saw Judgment Day in action, which was Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest, with obviously Rhea Ripley in the corner. Rhea Ripley by their side, taking on that of Chad Gable and Otis. Now, I've never seen the Judgment Day versus Alpha Academy in just pure singles, in just pure, just those two on their own, those two teams, and it was a very, very impressive matchup. First of all, everyone was cheering for Otis. Everyone wanted to see the Caterpillar. Otis was on fire, taking out Damian Priest, taking out Dominic Mysterio, and I think Chad Gable got put over so well in that match. I mean, listen, I know everyone loves Brock Lesnar and loves his German suplexes, but you can't convince me that that Chad Gable is not the king of German suplexes. This guy is so talented with the German suplex. He lifted Damian Priest. He performed the most beautiful German suplex I've ever seen on someone such as Damian Priest. And it was so majestic, so magnificent. I loved it. Genuinely, I loved it. Now, unfortunately, the Judgment Day did get the victory via the intervening of Rhea Ripley. But regardless of that, it was still a 10 out of 10 match. 5-star. And I hope WWE doesn't screw this up. I am praying that they don't... That they let Otis and Gable kind of stay where they are with the fans, and they don't have them cut some promo making the fans hate them again. Like, I want to see these guys turn face and start building themselves back up, because this team is a great tag team. They are great wrestlers, and I want to see more. I need to see more. Now, we also saw in singles action we saw Akira Tozawa taking on Bronson Reed. Now, Bronson Reed, this was his first singles match on the main roster. He did get the victory over Akira Tozawa, and there was talk of seeing Bronson Reed in the Royal Rumble. Man, that would be amazing. Now, do I think he would win the Royal Rumble? Probably not. It just doesn't seem in the cards for him. However, Bronson Reed, very talented athlete. I would love to see him later on, down the line, move on for a U.S. title opportunity, intercontinental title opportunity. Just kind of depends where he ends up on the totem pole within the next couple of weeks, months, maybe within the next year. Now, Akira Tozawa did perform fairly well in the match. I would like to see a little more out of Akira Tozawa, but, obviously where he is right now, he's just not getting the right amount of TV time for him to really show himself off, which is understandable. We've seen it happen to a number of great athletes that just can't, they don't have enough time to really show their true nature, show their amazing talent. And so hopefully later down the line, we'll get to see Akira Tozawa kind of get to perform more and really invest everyone into his character once again. Now, we also saw Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss go into a huge brawl. Now, it was confirmed last night that we will see at the Royal Rumble Bianca Belair defending the Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss in singles action. That's going to be great. And I'm not going to say my predictions for that yet. I will get into that as we near the pay-per-view. But I'm excited for that match. Now, the brawl was, in my opinion, the brawl was in favor of Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair about to hit the KOD on what looked like to be two steel chairs, and then Uncle Howdy started to emerge from some sort of entranceway, I think, and Alexa Bliss, that gave, it seemed to stop Bianca in her tracks, and it gave Alexa Bliss enough time to get out of the KOD and perform a DDT on that of Bianca Belair. Now, I still am not fully sure on where Uncle Howdy and Alexa Bliss stand. I don't think anyone is, but maybe we'll finally get our answer on that at the Royal Rumble, because obviously Bray Wyatt's going to be at the Royal Rumble. Alexa Bliss is officially now going to be at the Royal Rumble, so we could very well see that all kind of come together at the Rumble. Okay, so for our final segment, our final part, it's not our final segment, for our final matches of Monday Night Raw, we saw an amazing 6-man elimination match for the number one contender spot for the U.S. Championship. The match consisted of Miz, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. Now, obviously, Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins are two guys that have been vying for the U.S. belt for quite some time. Dolph Ziggler has been having his issues with Austin Theory. He has been trying to get his name into a match with Theory for the U.S. belt, so that is understandable. Finn Balor obviously has fought for the U.S. belt before, back when Seth Rollins held it. Baron Corbin and The Miz, two kind of wild cards in this match, but both guys that I think deserve the opportunity and have been proving themselves in both their wrestling capability and just, they have been getting some impressive wins over the past couple of months since Triple H has gotten into power, and so I think it's safe to say that they kind of chose a better caliber of wrestlers. Now, the first man to get eliminated was The Miz, and that was, I forget who pinned him. I believe that pin might have been via Seth Rollins. I'm not exactly sure how that went down, but The Miz was the first to get eliminated. Dolph Ziggler performed very well in that match, I want to say. Dolph Ziggler did very well, really got to show off his talents. He was delivering super kicks out, left and right. We were seeing super kicks, famousers. Dude was going off. And then I believe it was Seth Rollins or Finn. I think it might have been Seth or Finn with the coup de grace, either the coup de grace or the stomp. Dolph Ziggler getting pinned. He was the second eliminated. Now, then we saw, I think it was Finn Balor was the third eliminated, and then the match carried on to the outside. Now, MVP and Omos were out there, I guess, in the corner of Bobby Lashley. Bobby did not want them out there. Omos and, MVP were I don't know why they were out there. But it certainly looked like they were out there in support of that of Bobby Lashley. MVP even ordering Omos to take out Seth, which at one point he did. Ugh, sorry about that. I had to get a sip of water. Whew. All right, so yeah, Omos taking out Seth Rollins for a little bit. Baron Corbin actually staring down Seth, proceeding to get back into the ring, and then getting pinned by I think it was by Bobby Lashley. It might have been Seth Rollins. I don't remember, but actually it might have been by Bobby. Got pinned by Bobby Lashley, and then Bobby was proceeding to argue with that of Omos and MVP, which Austin Theory then got involved and cracked the U.S. belt over the head of Bobby Lashley. Seth Rollins then proceeded to deliver because Omos then started to attack Austin Theory, and Austin Theory trying to escape, trying to get out of the grasp of Omos, wasn't working until Seth got involved, delivering a stomp to the Nigerian Giant. And then he proceeded to attack Austin Theory, get back in the ring, deliver a super kick to MVP, who got onto the apron, trying to intervene again. But because of the distraction, Bobby Lashley hit the spear, pinned Seth, and at next week's Raw 30th anniversary, we will see Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory for the U.S. title. I think that's interesting. These two have fought on multiple occasions in singles action. I think these two could certainly make something out of that. However, I don't want to see Theory lose the belt yet. I want to see these two. I want to see Theory win. I want to see Theory continue his little reign as U.S. champ and proceed to fight more superstars that haven't really been getting the opportunities for the belt, such as Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, Bronson Reed, Akira Tozawa. I think Mustafa Ali. I think there's a number of wrestlers that Theory can really benefit from, and he can help them benefit from him as well. And especially after his singles match with Seth Rollins, I think he 100% can just do wonders with that U.S. title for sure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is our Monday Night Raw. Going into NXT tonight, I do want to talk a little bit more about this idea of Braun Breaker and Grayson Waller at Vengeance Day in a steel cage match for the NXT Championship. This is a very interesting matchup because obviously Braun Breaker has held the NXT Championship twice now. He's a two-time NXT champion, and he hasn't lost the belt. You know, he's had the belt since the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, and so he could potentially lose it to Grayson Waller. I still think Grayson Waller, especially after the impressive match these two had at New Year's Evil, I would love to see these two go to war in a steel cage. And the only issue for that of Grayson Waller is it's enclosed, and so he can't go to the outside and then jump and run in and hit the knee or hit the cutter or anything like that, which it sucks, but at the same time it's going to be challenging but also entertaining to see what Grayson Waller might pull off, because we've seen him in War Games. We've seen what he can do when he has a ladder or a steel cage that he can climb and deliver some amazing moves and height, some high flying capabilities. So that's interesting. Now, again, we also have this issue between Gigi Dolan and JC Jane versus Roxanne Perez. Both of them are one. However, they kind of had some issues, they were fighting to see who was gonna win. And they both landed on the floor at the same time. They both won the Battle Royal. They're both going to fight Roxanne Perez. I can only assume it's going to be a triple threat, but I'm hoping going into tonight's NXT we'll get a little more information on that to see who actually won. And who's actually gonna, who's actually, like, not who actually won, but to see, like, is it gonna be a triple threat, or, like, to kind of just see where the game plan's at with that. Now, we're also gonna be, hopefully we'll touch a little bit on that of the North American Championship and even the NXT Tag Team titles. We haven't really heard anything on the tag titles in terms of who's the New Day's gonna fight. I think the New Day could fight a number of teams. I don't want to see them fight Pretty Deadly, to be quite honest with you. I would love to see them fight Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. I think they already fought before. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I'd also like to see them fight the Creed brothers at some point, or so I think that would be interesting. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the North American Championship. Obviously, Dijak is next in line. He's the number one contender, and he's going to fight Wesley. I'm not sure when that match is going to be. I can only assume at Vengeance Day. However, whenever it is, I think it's safe to say Dijak is going to win, just because of the fact that even back when he was Dominik Dijakovic and he was first coming up in NXT, he really always went after the NXT title. I mean, the NXT North American title, and that's kind of where him and Keith got their start, was the North American title. Like, they had obviously been feuding before that, but then, the triple threat match they had with Roderick Strong really blew up, and then Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee kept going at it, and then Keith Lee won the North American Championship, and Dominik Dijakovic wanted a shot, and it just kind of kept going and pursuing and building up more and more. And so I think it's safe to say that Dijak is going to win that belt, especially against Wesley, because Wesley, obviously, it's no offense to Wesley, but Dijak is just a powerhouse compared to Wesley. It's like running into a brick wall. I don't think it's going to work out for him in the end. That's my opinion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude tonight's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Again, thanks again. I'll see you guys in the next one.